5:38 p.m. We have the roll call going around.
Back when I first got elected.
For anybody to sign.
Okay.
So that will be agenda 2. And we'll get everybody to make sure they get on the roll call.
Dave was just looking for you.
Oh,
And I sent him upstairs.
Oh, okay, well, I was just okay.
Well, it'd be good exercise for him.
Oh.
Look at that. Okay, so we'll go to agenda 3.
My date first.
Accept the minutes of the June 14th, 2018 meeting.
I wanted to say, I looked at the minutes
Yep.
and I wrote them, I left a blank on who made a motion for the chair. I was gonna write that.
Yeah,
Okay, I was gonna write that, but then I was like, well, I'm not sure.
It was me,
so-
I looked at them and
And I believe it was you that made it and then the body.
Yeah, it was unanimous. I wrote that it was unanimous,
That's what it
but I
was.
was like, who made the motion? Okay.
Anything else for the minutes? So we'll make that adjustment.
Yep.
Any
I have
other
nothing.
questions or concerns on the minutes?
No.
Okay, all in favor to accept the minutes? Okay, unanimous of those present. Now, we'll get into agenda 4, citizens forum, if anybody has anything for this board.
A citizen contacted Gus and I said, I'll take this comment to Landfill Oversite. But I don't know if you want me to do it at board members, but it was from a citizen. And I have other things.
Well, if
For
you have other
myself.
things, if you have other things on yours, but if you want to do it on a citizen, we can do it now.
Okay.
If they're gonna,
2 questions, and Tracy, this might be one that you can answer. The landfill monitor's number is a North Carolina number, and there was concern for people who are calling with complaints from a landline, not from a cell phone. So should they just call the Board of Health, or what?
I don't know anything about Anna's phone number.
Okay.
there is, do you know what kind of complaints they have? Because there is a hotline for odors.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
is a local, and you can help me if I'm
Okay.
stumbled. It's an 800 number, and it's a whole process where Burton Engineering has a certain period of time, and it gets followed through, where they actually go to the site and go to where the reporting party is.
Okay.
It's 800-883-3910.
Okay, thank you.
So if that was the nature of the complaint, that's what they, I believe it's on the website anyway.
Yeah, and the other thing was, over this past weekend, there were complaints about odor, like some people on Facebook were complaining about odor because there was no soil coverage. And I don't know if it was because of the 4th of July weekend, the 4th of July after. It.
All I'm gonna say right now is that the complaint that was brought up at the town council meeting is being looked into with Andy.
Okay.
And he is going to definitely have a answer that will be given, because the complaint was given in a public forum, he's going to have the answer in a public forum. I would suggest that, and we don't really thrive on the Facebook and all that other stuff, because people can say what they need to say.
Right.
But we can't fix problems if we don't have valid questions and valid resources that we can go back on. That's why there's the 800 number, a part of the 800 number, and we get emails.
Right, and we
Every
got several
time,
emails regarding,
I think there was,
and we got like 3 or 4 of them this week.
absolutely, and there's construction going on. But the deal is,
Also, 9 96 degrees.
Correct.
98% humidity with a
The
southwest.
inversion.
Yeah.
And the whole deal that I've done in my whole career is that there's a complaint. Complaints have to be investigated, it doesn't mean there's an issue. If there's an issue, it's going to be resolved, and the answers to that go through Andy, and he is planning on having the results, because I have no idea what the results are, and he will make that known. Plans on making that known next Monday at the council
Okay.
meeting, because that's where it came up.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that the person that contacted you, as well as anybody else in town or neighbors that has the same concern that didn't bring it up, they will have that available question
Okay.
answered Monday night for sure.
Okay, thank you.
But it is being looked into,
Okay.
definitely.
Can I ask one question? There is a presently permitted procedure for the removal of a temporary cap and the placement of the permanent cap in the section towards Ashbrook Road.
Yeah.
Is it this issue in reference to that permitted procedure, or is
Do
it
not
something?
believe so, no.
Okay, it's an issue.
These are a lot of the facts that they're trying to gather, the actual facts on the where to how to who to what, and
I'll leave that. I won't question any further on
Yeah,
that particular issue.
I-
However, I would like to request that we look at scheduling an August meeting to review
Right.
what Andy has established, so that we can address any further questions.
we can do another one in August if you want. And then, yeah, we can follow up. It will be,
And
He
it's gonna
plans
be-
on
it's gonna be
having
followed
it.
up one way or the other, whether
yes,
it's
he
here
plans
or
on having it
the
public
meeting
on what
or
to follow
whatever.
up, the result of looking into the complaint
Okay.
It's,
I would have to
on
imagine
Monday.
the Board of Health.
And one,
Huh?
I'd have to imagine it would be the Board of Health.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be somewhere.
Yes.
and one other question is, the town manager mentioned additional capacity.
Mhm.
Is that within,
I don't
or is that within Andy's scope of
What do you
review?
mean? I
I
don't
don't
remember.
know what he's.
I don't remember hearing that.
That's presenting.
If you review the tape, he was kind of uncertain because of what exactly the procedure was that was being done, but he did mention additional capacity, and my question would be, any additional capacity would have had prior approval by the town, I would imagine, because capacity is based on the contract from 2006.
Capacity is based upon the area that was built as double-line landfill. Capacity has nothing to do with the contract. Capacity is an engineered, physical, designed, built thing.
Right, but the cubic area of that capacity does not change.
Right, it's a known thing.
So, in other words, if the capacity in 2006 was established at 500,000 cubic yards, there's nothing that would change that 500,000 cubic yards to say, well, we're gonna go to 550,000. So, maybe
The
it was
Southbridge
just,
landfill will take its remaining waste in calendar year of 2018. So nothing has changed from that, Kevin.
Yes.
Yes, we are still on course to accept the final waste by the end of this calendar year.
all right.
I don't know how other way to get to the answer for
Nothing,
you on
I
that.
mean, nothing can be deviated from the original plan without going through the process, and that's the permit and the hearing, I mean, everything, so, it is what it is and nothing's changed.
What it all comes to is the question that I'm asked every single day. When is the landfill closing? How much space is left? When is the landfill closing? That's where these things come from.
Yeah.
And the true fact of the matter is, and I've discussed this at multiple Board of Health meetings, I cannot give you an exact date, time, or number.
Right.
Okay, that all depends upon the tonnage that comes in, what you get for your compaction factors, and what the market allows. And I think I've talked about that a handful of times at Board of Health meetings. And those variables lead to the fact that I cannot tell you on Wednesday, a blah, blah date at this time will be done. And then I think that's where those questions come from. People talk about it and people say, oh, well, I wonder this, I wonder that. So the fact of the matter is that based on the tonnage that comes in each month, and that's based on market capacity, what we can accept, compaction rates, the cubic space that's left will result in that end.
Can I just ask you for clarification? Did you just say that the tonnage does not have to do with the contract? Because I always thought.
In the way that
it was-
Kevin was presenting it, Kevin was saying that a set cubic yardage was in the contract. That's what I understood him to be saying, and I was saying, no, that the contract has nothing to do with the actual
Oh,
airspace
okay.
of the landfill.
Right. And that's kind of getting off topic, but,
Okay. Thanks for calling.
did you have anything else on your citizens? Does that answer what they had
Yeah. That answers
And
what they were.
call that 800 number, the order complaints are taken care of immediately.
Yep,
And then
okay.
the results are, we get it.
Yeah, we get,
Every time there's a
Vernon
complaint.
comes out within several hours and investigates, they check the landfill, they check the locality. Some of the time it's the landfill, some of the time it's not, some of the time it's whatever.
Yep.
They investigate all of it and try and figure out exactly what it is.
And we need that information of people to call. Somebody just can't say on Facebook that I smell trash. Where are you?
Right.
What is it? So when somebody calls, they actually go to their house. Where did you smell it? I smell it right out here. And they go and they
go,
contact the
walk around your
citizen,
whole property,
whether it's
they
Charlton
check
or
everything.
Southbridge, and they go to the site.
Yeah.
And they seem to be very, very thorough on those older complaints. Do we have anything else on the citizens' input?
Kristen O'Clair, 51 North Street, if we do there. Just touching base with that, with the comment that was made on Monday night, we were given an answer, and then, and this is just in case you wanted to update whoever reached out to you, Maureen. Andy had called me and said that like the next day there was actually cover on there. So I do look forward to. I do look forward to full explanation of everything that's going on
There
Monday
was
night when he's-
that day, or there was over the weekend when the
So
complaint
on
came in?
Sunday at 12:30 p.m., there was no cover, but then by Monday, when Andy followed up with me, there was no cover.
Okay.
So, you know, we were given a sort of different answer that it might stay like that for a while, and it doesn't seem to be the case. So if you do have any residents that are, you know, concerned about that,
Okay. Okay.
we'll find out more on Monday.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it can't stay uncovered. And that's not our rule. They can't stay uncovered. At the end of the day, everything has to be put and it's done.
Right.
Anything else? Okay, old business. The only thing that I had on the old business was the full board was going to meet tonight because they wanted one session to look at our mission statement before they voted on it, so that would have been voted tonight, so that has got postponed. That was the only business that we were sending to the Board of Health.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we had for old business.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I just saw in the newspaper that, who was it, from the airport commission, his wife just passed away. Yeah.
Ron,
So,
yeah, she put
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so I was like, well, he's stuck on it.
Okay, anything on the new business?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like, with the coming of the final closure and everything, the soil stockpile, is the soil stockpile going to be utilized with the final capping? Or will there be any remaining soil left after the final?
When you say soil stockpile?
The soil stockpile is the section, the stockpile of soil that runs.
He's talking about that. We just talked about this at the last meeting, and you were explaining how that dirt can't leave the landfill. I think that's what he's talking
Oh,
about.
are you talking about the western excavation, or are you talking about the northern soil stockpile, Kevin?
The northern soil
All right,
stockpile.
so the northern soil stockpile is virgin soil that was excavated and placed, okay? So it was excavated to make room to build the landfill.
Okay.
So that northern soil stockpile is virgin material, has nothing to do with any waste that was
Yeah.
placed in the landfill. That northern soil stockpile runs essentially between 50-50 between the town lines of Southbridge and Charlton. So any use of that soil would be for intermediate cover. Is the whole pile going away? No. Will some of it be utilized as needed?
Okay. Was that northern soil stockpile the result of the wash down of soils into the Charlton wetlands?
The construction of that northern soil stockpile is what resulted in that issue. So I'm not, what do you really want me to answer?
Well,
What's your concern?
the area of land that, in Charlton, when the soil ran down into the wetlands,
Yeah,
did that come from the northern soil stockpile?
yes. It did not
That-
come from the landfill.
My concern of the northern soil stockpile remaining there after the landfill is closed is if that procedure,
The northern soil stockpile was essentially taken apart, Kevin, and reconstructed. Okay, and all the QA, QC, all that reporting was done to the Board of Health and to DEP about compaction testing and everything that was done to make sure that that stockpile is stable. Secondly, that stockpile has been fully seeded and is fully grown with grass. So it's stabilized. It's a different thing. It's been,
oh, quite a while. So
I'm guessing, but somewhere 5 or 6 years at least. I'm probably on the low side.
there should be no repeat of,
I have no reason to believe there would be any concern for that.
Anything else?
I have one other question too. If we could, maybe for, not the next meeting, but the procedures on the sampling wells and monitoring that's presently done versus once it's closed. Though, will there be any change in the protocol of all the sampling that's presently done with an operating landfill will carry on? Or-
The environmental monitoring program that will exist in post-closure is still regulated by DEP. Okay, so there's an entire, what's called comprehensive site assessment that's done as part of final closing of a landfill. So that process is ongoing with DEP, that you go through this closure assessment and you result in an environmental monitoring program, along with some other things that go along with that make up your post-closure monitoring. All right, so post-closure monitoring is not just for the wells and surface water or any other sampling that goes on. Your post-closure plan includes everything else about your inspections for the landfill and stormwater and continues on through a bunch of different things. So that's all predicated on DEP and the regulations. So you would have to stay tuned to see what that ends up being.
At what point will DEP end up producing that?
That's gonna be part of the closure process. So in the next 2 years, say, that will all be finalized.
Okay, but it'll all be established by DEP.
Yep, that's not something that we just sit down and write and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. It's part of a comprehensive look at the entire site in the history. And that's gonna involve probably, well, I've been down at the Conservation Commission already, letting them know that we're gonna be installing additional wells as part of this whole process. So, it's pretty detailed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay, we'll move to board members forum. Nothing? You had something, Madam Secretary?
Yeah, let me just
Let
write
her finish her notes before she gets to her questions.
Did you have anything else what she's doing?
No, pretty well.
You remember?
I'm here to answer questions.
Okay, I saw this article in the Sunday paper. This is from the Leominster landfill. I don't know if this would be a possibility on the other side, not I can't remember the AstroTurf name. I know it's not
Oh, okay.
AstroTurf,
Yeah,
but on the
it's called
other
closure
side,
turf.
the closure turf, right, thank you.
Mhm.
Because these are little sheep. And this article has to do with some lambs that got away, but I was thinking, the sheep grazing, it would be great because it would mean no cost for mowing, and they're not gonna like crash into pipes or anything. They're
Says who?
very gentle.
Says who?
Who's gonna pay for
Yeah.
You haven't,
the sheep? Do you have a sheep herder in
Well,
mind?
I know, I don't have it in mind, but
Is sheep are
if
expensive?
we wanna look into this,
There are some
maybe
practicalities of doing that, Maureen.
somebody
I
has
own
that.
animals myself, and I've looked into actually doing that on some smaller scale landfill projects.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of practicality that goes along with it, and that is that, and because believe me, people have asked me to do this several times because they know that I'm really mad about my farm animals, is that these animals need care, they need water, and they need shelter.
Well, I'm
That's
aware of
very-
that.
I know, but I'm trying to take you through what my concerns are, is that that's very difficult to do on the side slope of a landfill. And you need to constantly move the animals because you don't want them to graze too far to damage any sort of root system, because that's your stability on your cap. Remember, you're on a landfill cap, not just a
Yeah.
pasture,
right.
where you can just go back and reseed and fertilize. So it's something that I've looked very closely at doing, some test projects, but that has been the prohibitive nature. You need somebody there daily, taking care of those animals. So I know that people do it quite often with goats and around utilities, they do it with goats in backyards and things like that. But when you add a 3-to-1 slope of a landfill where you don't have direct access to water or electricity to keep the fencing electrified, all my fencing is electrified, I'm not losing my prize view to a coyote.
Right.
So, there's certain logistics, myself as a hobby farmer have, thought about what those issues
What,
would be.
and I think these are like brought in
Yes.
on a daily basis.
Yeah,
They also had that in one
Could
of
that
the
be
news
a
news
possibility?
stations.
yeah.
Again, you're running into the same problem about control, and I think that there, we could talk about for 3 hours,
Yeah.
but that's a post-use issue.
Yeah, you know where I think that's perfect is solar fields.
Yes.
Because solar fields are fully fenced in.
Yes.
And that would take your predator issue away. Because once your predators lock in on a source, they're coming back every single time until it's gone.
And
So
then you don't have to worry about mowing around the solar.
you don't, that's why I think solar farms, perfect for that
Correct.
type of grazing. And I would mix sheep and goats because one doesn't eat the other up.
Right,
There you go.
exactly.
I've thought this
She
through.
knows.
I've thought this through.
Hey, I think that's great. I did
Yeah.
my agriculture, one of my agriculture papers on goods.
Every now and then I run into somebody who wants to know when their kids are gonna go sledding, when
Never.
ski slopes.
Mhm.
It sounds like a nice idea to turn it into a ski slope.
But it totally depends on the type of cap.
Yeah, there are post-closure uses that would be applicable for closure turf landfills or traditional cap landfills or a mix of everything in between. There are post-closure uses. But again, you have to go back to the logistics and think about, oh, there's an active landfill gas collection system. Do you really want to mix geocaching with that? There's just some practicalities that you need to look at when the town is considering post-closure.
And the liability to the town, whether it's a landfill or just a big hill. There's a ton of things
Ditches that have to
looked
be
at.
there, and
Yes.
swales and riprap and all that kind of stuff that don't lend
But the
very well to
post-closure-
sledding.
The post-closure use, because of settling and everything like this, is gonna be a whole different animal that's gonna,
Yeah, there are
Takes some
certainly
time, 5 to 10
opportunities, but
years
it's
down
gonna
the
have
road.
to come
Yes.
at a time where you don't have to worry about the security of your landfill gas collection system or somebody going, oh, what's this? And having an injury or an issue, so
and trespassers going up there with ATVs and stuff and ripping up your
those are all
cap.
things you have to
These
consider.
are all considerations.
As somebody who used to ride dirt bikes on the old landfill.
There you go.
Kevin, you're my enemy.
And we used to.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the old landfill.
I take care of another landfill that's in its 9th year
We
of
used to shoot the
post-closure.
rats
So
up
these
there.
are, you're talking about and thinking about things that I've been dealing with for almost 10 years. So I'm right there with you. I know kind of where you want to go, but there's a period of time you got to get through to take care of the landfill itself.
Do you have something, Bruce?
Yeah.
I did have a question. Over time, Tracy, that landfill will start collapsing a little bit, correct?
We call that settlement.
Okay.
I'm gonna take collapse.
You know, it's like me saying the dump. It's like me saying the dump, I won't do that again, right? But slowly but surely, that's gonna settle down
Yes,
after
so
the gases and fuel.
what you're gonna see, the landfill is
Gravity.
settling right now. Okay, Okay, so when you are a landfill engineer and someone who operates, designs, and builds landfills, settlement is in your calculation. So we can pretty much tell you that you're going to see 75 to 85% of your settlement in the first year, year and a half. Okay, and so there's an actual like math curve you can go through. And all that has to do with the fact of we know what our compactions are, we know what our waste mixes are. So when you go do what we call an AUF, airspace utilization factor, that is, okay, for this cubic yard of trash, this is how efficiently we used it. And by knowing that information, you can calculate your settlement. So what will happen, and you'll see in probably the post-closure permit, well, definitely the post-closure permit, but probably the actual construction permit for the final CAD 2 permit, you will see them already discussing what the engineering inspection requirement will be. And that'll be for when you see certain amount of settlement within this range, here's the action levels you're gonna take, and so on and so on. So that's all prescribed, and that's nothing new, that's just part of the post-closure monitoring. Yeah.
Anything else from board members? I will just say that I was thrown a loop on Monday night on the complaint, and I had made an appointment, and I toured the landfill today with Hannah. And I will say that, number one, I did not see a bird.
You did not see what?
A bird flying around.
Oh, a bird, okay.
But I guess there was the company of the environmental people going out today or whatever.
Yeah, we have a
Which is
contract,
a normal
Yeah.
maintenance procedure.
we have a contract with the USDA, they
Yep.
come out, they do inspections, if they think that we need to take a corrective action, they will
Yep.
prescribe that to us, and then they also take birds.
And she took me everywhere, from the top of the pile to where they're digging the ridge and exposing, if I'm not mistaken, on the CAD 1, where they're exposing the old liner to be able to attach
connect it,
and weld and mesh the finished new liner.
Mhm.
So they are actually opening it, and we were inside the misting area, and the odor that was produced was, in my opinion, less than the best day at Big Y. And that was inside the misting. I was pleasantly, to be honest with you, pleasantly surprised. Barefoot Road, down at the bottom where the scale house, I couldn't smell anything. I was, and I said it to you and the board members, that when I go to the fire academy out west, when we get off at exit 6 and go by that landfill, it looks like a beehive and it reeks. And I was very impressed today, because the complaint that you brought up, Counselor, at the meeting really aggravated me. And Andy's going to have the results, and to make sure that, and we need, you know, we're citizens too, and we need the accurate, and I don't like fraudulent complainers, but I'd like people to work together and see if you can offer us a solution so that we can work together, so that, you know, like, we don't know what the complaint is, we got the complaint, it's going to be looked into, and we'll have the results. But I was really pleased today. We spent an hour driving around there, and I was fascinated at the choreographic operation of how everything is being done, and going from the old and the new.
It's like a ballet up there.
It
It's
is.
crazy.
It was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. And I was very pleased. I didn't see any.
I thank you for saying that, I didn't know you were coming, or I would have offered to come along
You
and
gonna make me cake?
give you way more information than you felt you needed in a day, but, you know, I am
Blame
very,
Anna.
very passionate about that landfill and the job that we do there.
And I could tell by
I
the
would
amount
like-
of times that she stopped you and you stopped us. Yeah, there is no doubt that you take it to heart and really take
Yeah,
it.
we put a lot of effort into that, what I call the three-ring service, but thank you for calling it a play.
No, it was very well choreographed with everything going on, because there's
Yeah,
a
a lot
lot
of
of
effort
action.
goes into it, and there are days where we have issues. It is a 52-acre active construction site, so there are days where everything doesn't line up perfectly for us, and, you know, we have an odor complaint, and we have to deal with it, or the birds come in and we have to deal with it.
And I'm not discarding, by any means, I'm not discarding complaints. Because the odor complaints that we've gotten, the reports from that Burton has
Yep.
identified odors
Yep.
at the complainants.
Oh.
And this is the process that I like to see, because I like standards, that they made the call, Burton talked to the complainants, they researched it, and we get the emails that actually say, yes, there was an odor at that residence. I went to the site, I got an odor at this point, and I think they even rate the odors.
Yeah, there's a number.
But there is the situation with the weather that, yeah, there has been odors. My parents live on Worcester Street, and I've smelled at times. But it's been tended to, and that's what we need to do, is to get the correct information so we can get to the base and get it squared away.
So the USDA came out this week,
They were there today.
they were there today.
Yep.
And have there been any birds up there since this?
Well, we have really two classes of birds. We have seagulls, which we
Right.
next to never see. They really kind of come in on a storm. If a coastal
Right.
storm comes in, the seagulls will come in for a day or two, and then they want to go back to the coast. They really don't want to hang out with us. So then that really just leaves crows or starlings, and then the turkey vultures. So the turkey vultures, I mean, I know we have a problem with them on the roof of this building. I know when I used to live down here on Elm Street, I used to see them all the time. But they are a protected migratory bird, and you need a specialized permit to even be able to take a turkey vulture. And we have never been allowed to take more than 5 in a year. That is why we started using the USDA. We felt that was a regulatory issue that we wanted the USDA, the expert on the subject, to handle. So they come out and they make the assessment based on the behavior of the birds that they see. And they travel several spaces throughout Southbridge. And the northern and western portion of our site is a space they like to be. And they determine, the USDA determines if they feel that there's a behavioral issue. They take a bird, it's a little odd, but they display it in effigy because birds will react to another bird in distress. So that's all left to the USDA. They make that decision, they let us know what they did, and then at the end of the year, we submit all of our reporting for any takes that were made at the landfill to the government.
Okay, and do we know these birds that we've seen in this video, do we know, were those turkey vultures, were those starlings, were those crows, do we even know?
Yeah, from the video that I saw, they looked like turkey vultures to me.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't there today. I didn't see it.
They are on a clock.
Yeah.
They
The only thing
quite
I did-
literally punch in and punch out.
The only thing I can say is that we did see, which I don't even know if it's as part of the landfill, but down in the storm water ponds,
The geese.
way down there, I think we counted 11
Yep.
Canadian geese
The
hanging out.
USDA also pushes them out as well.
And they were just chilling down there. But that was it. Did you have?
You've seen the video?
No.
Okay. Can I show you, because I understand, like, what happened was, I got a phone call on Saturday, and somebody said there's exposed trash at the landfill. And I said, well, it's 4th of July week, they're probably, you know, a day late because of the trash pickup, because when you have a holiday, it goes into the next day. I said, I will follow up with Andy on Monday. Got a follow-up call on Sunday, said, hey, still exposed trash, and there are a crazy amount of vulture. And I've never come up to the council, I'm just gonna show you, it's a 2-second video, but I've never come up to the council and, you know, said, oh, there's odor complaints or whatever. Like, this to me is dangerous.
Yeah, that's a lot of birds.
That's at least 30.
All of that.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Yep.
that
And
was,
it's
that was
being-
why I brought it
yeah.
up, because I feel that it's more of a safety concern. If it was an
Oh.
odor, if it was something
It
like
was-
that.
That
And
was
it's-
not, I was
it's
just
agreed.
asking what kind of birds they were, if they were the protected birds, if they were regular birds,
Yeah.
if it was addressed, that's all I was getting at.
Oh no, I was
I'm not-
actually, because you said that you were aggravated, there was only one bird. I just wanted to make sure that you had
Oh,
seen
no,
it, so
no.
you didn't know that it was just, you know, a hearsay thing. That
I
somebody-
agree with every complaint, and I agree that everything has to be researched to find the facts.
Absolutely.
But like on your thing with the Otis, if they would have called the 800 number, they would have got satisfaction within hours, instead of waiting to come here.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. And that's looking into it, and they're gonna find,
Yeah, no, and
they're gonna find the end results.
I absolutely appreciate
Yeah,
what you guys do.
definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. None of us, we're all in the same boat as far as citizens and want to make sure things are done right. Absolutely. Anything else? So as Kevin mentioned, because of this update, do we want to go in August for the next meeting? Agenda item number 8,
Yeah, that's fine.
which I believe will be August 9th if we continue.
I won't be available till after the 16th.
So that would probably run into the regular board of health meeting anyway.
But usually we try,
We try.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
why
you
the
would do
9th, it would
Yeah.
be the 9th if we try to keep it
Well, do you want
the second
guess-
Thursday.
Does this make any kind of sense?
Do-
If we, if we schedule a tentative LOC meeting for when Kevin's back, if it hasn't been addressed at the Board of Health meeting, then maybe the Board of Health could push it down to the LOC. If we've already discussed it at the Board of Health meeting, is there a reason to discuss it again at the LOC?
Well, the question for the update is this, the resulting investigation into the complaints is what you're looking. Well, let me ask you this. Well, how are we gonna know? Because Andy, I believe, is planning on giving a report Monday night if you guys are still having a meeting Monday night. He wants to give a report to
Yeah.
make sure the public is aware of what the result was.
So if the council has a meeting on the 16th, and the next Board of Health meeting is on the 9th, we have to soon follow up on it there.
Regular board of health meeting
Um,
tentatively is gonna be tonight.
As of
The
this
council-
moment, it's not scheduled.
The council is supposed to be meeting next Monday, the 16th. Tentatively, because we still have people, it's either gonna be 19th or 26th for the next Board of Health meeting.
19th,
And I'm
9
not really,
and 16th.
I'm not really sure which one.
We'll discuss that after this.
But it's gonna be after the council meeting. And you're leaving when, Kevin?
Well, I can be back August 16th. I'm gonna be gone from August 3rd to August 16th.
Well, my question is this, is if the report
Well, that's just,
that Andy gives at the council meeting and the next Board of Health meeting that should be held before you leave is satisfactory, do we go on the quarterly like the